Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're all having a fantastic weekend. Today's cryptocurrency is Haven Protocol, ticker code XHV. This one's requested by Christopher Guerrero. If you want me to review your cryptocurrency, leave a comment down in this comment section down below with the cryptocurrency you want me to review. I will do a very, very honest take on your cryptocurrency. Things are looking bleak. We're still very much in a bear market, but there are some good altcoins, whether that be on the long side or the short side. But I'll do my very best and honest analysis on that selected crypto. So let's talk about Haven Protocol for today. And well, there's some red flags with this one, but we do have a breakout that just played a couple hours ago. So as usual, I will start with the macro point and then we'll start looking into the shorter time frames. And then I'll compare it to Bitcoin. Not as much Ethereum because Ethereum's down on the ground at the moment, but I'll look at it against Bitcoin to see its relative strength. So a few things that I've already drawn here on the chart. The first thing is that the all-time high for this crypto came in on about April 15th on 2021, which is about that $30 mark. We had lower highs forming. So on the 8th of May or the 5th of May, we've had the lower high. And then we had the second half of the bull run, which was about August to November last year. And then we still fell quite a way away from the all-time high. We weren't really able to get there, about 24% away from the all-time high. Your cryptocurrency needs to be always aiming for all-time highs. It needs that volume. It needs that energy to really, really try to show that it's relevant, that people are investing in it, that the smart money is investing in it, because there's always going to be new cryptocurrencies coming. And this is why I love charts on cryptos, because you can clearly tell where the smart money is investing in and where they're not investing in. It's not to say the next bull run that maybe Haven Protocol does well, but we don't know that information right now. We don't know when it's going to start, what's going to happen. All we can do is look at past data and try to predict the future as best we can. So we've got lower highs forming, and this would signal that the next bull run, when it happens, will probably not include Haven Protocol to do well. Hypothetically, again, we have to see as the days come out when that happens. But just something to pay attention to. We obviously had a big breakdown. And one of the things that hurt me about this crypto is that it has fallen really, really far down below. It's about 95% down from its all-time high. And don't think to yourself, oh, well, how much lower can it go? Because you don't look at the all-time high to say it. You're probably saying, okay, at the moment, we're sitting at about 85 cents. So from it going 85 cents to about, call it 50 cents, okay, that's going to take you to a 40% loss. If we go down to 40 cents, that's going to be a 53% loss. So the loss can get against you still very much, very quickly. So do not ever think to yourself, oh, it's so far down. It's 97% down from its all-time high. How much lower can it go? No, you can keep going lower. It can go down to 0.00003 cents. Look at Luna, right? That thing has just bled. I'm not comparing this to Luna, but I'm just trying to say that cryptos can keep going down even below a cent. So just make sure you keep that into the back of your mind. At the start of the video, I talked about Haven Protocol having a bit of a breakout. So if we go right in and we look at the daily chart, you can see that we actually had a very big, good, strong breakout out of the falling wedge on the 3rd of June and a very healthy 44.32% gain for the day. Pretty damn good. And what I love about it is we made the higher high the day after. The problem is that we are technically in a bear market still. And whenever there's a breakout and you don't catch it on the breakout, then you're sort of in a really tough position in terms of your risk. So you can see here we broke out of the trend and we tested it almost perfectly on point with the wick of the candle on the 4th of June. So that would come in right at the red horizontal line, about 62 cents, call it, give or take. And that's a beautiful test, and that would have been the time to buy this ready for the next breakout. Of course, I wasn't looking at this chart at the time, but you can already see we've pulled away from there. And I mean, already that's about a 30% increase from that test on the trend upward. Where do I see Haven going? Look, it's very tough to call these coins at the moment when you have a breakout to this magnitude, because it's a very healthy, very good breakout on extremely high good volume. So really healthy breakout. The problem is we're in a bear market, and I have seen this time and time again where we have a big strong breakout and then you have a very strong pullback. So that is really the risk. The problem is, don't think about how high it can go. Think about the support levels that it will find. So we've got the 50% at play here at 68 cents. That's this yellow horizontal area. And you will expect this to find some support on there or to potentially break. So I've put a stop loss there for about 63 cents, where if I was in this trade, I wouldn't want it breaking this level of the 4th of June, which continued from that breakout. The problem is that the resistance area is actually pretty close. So you'll expect there to be resistance at around that 98-cent mark. Anything with a solid number around it, so any $10, $1, $1,000, $100,000, there will always be resistance. And we're pretty close already to that dollar mark, like I said, with that red horizontal line. So you've got about a 15% or 16% increase from your profits that you might be able to snag, but your downside is 24%. And if you go past the breakdown, you're talking 36 to 53%. So your downside is much greater than your upside. despite the breakout playing out. Like I said, if this was a day earlier, it might be a bit of a different story. If this was a bull run, it might be a bit more forgiving, but always anticipate the pullbacks and how it can happen to you. If this runs, you let it run, it's a missed opportunity. But that's for my risk tolerance. I don't know your risk tolerance and your investment strategies and how you want to expose yourself to this crypto. But all I can do is just say, for me personally, this is just a bit too much risk for me to carry on during a bear market period. If this was a bull market period, bit of a different story because we already had the breakout. The breakout will probably continue. You might get a pullback, but the pullback will be much more forgiving than what a pullback is like in a bear market. And as I've stated numerous times, we are in a bear market, so the pullback will be hard and fast. I can show you other cryptos that have it, have pretty big pullbacks. Let me just quickly show some that I was looking at. So I was looking at two cryptos that had a pretty good pullback. So this one here is XCN, and you can see we had a huge up run. We had it and then already a pullback, and now we're sort of going in no man's land. And this is a very risky crypto, but you had a 38% upswing on this bar alone. The day previous, 22%. So they can keep running up. It's not to say it can't, but when the pullbacks happen, they will happen hard and fast. If you have a look at, say, Leo, look at that. You had your breakout, and then you had just one barge completely wiped it out. One candlestick in this instance, just absolutely wipe it out. So be careful with how that plays out, with how high these things can go. They can always pull back quite hard, quite quickly, and they can annihilate a whole candle or even two candles in one candle in a bear market. So be aware of that. Tight stop losses, make sure it doesn't break down. But let's have a look at Having Protocol and compare it to its Bitcoin value to see how it's going against its Bitcoin pairing. Because if it can't outperform Bitcoin or Ethereum, you're better off just buying Bitcoin or Ethereum and getting better returns. Here we are on Coin Codex. If you're familiar with my channel, I ping all of these cryptos to their Bitcoin value. If they're red, it means it's underperforming to Bitcoin. If it's green, it means it's outperforming Bitcoin. I've got my time frames here. And if we have a look at Haven Protocol, here it is ranked 541. And you can see in the past 24 hours, it's outperforming Bitcoin by 5.72%. In the last 7 days, outperforming by Bitcoin by 20.48%. You can see it ticking over just as I speak. Underperforming to Bitcoin in the longer time frames, and this is very, very typical with altcoins. You will see in most altcoins, you will see them bleed out to Bitcoin in the longer time frames because everyone thinks I'm just going to hodl this altcoin and I'll make a 20,000x. And I mean, it's not always the case because you can see a lot of these cryptos do bleed out to Bitcoin and ETH long term, because Bitcoin and ETH just don't pull back as hard, and they are typically actually going to have a much more steady gain long term than a lot of these altcoins will. And if you're still watching this, I'm sure you already know that if you're still in the market by now, but there's always going to be a few people who think I'm just going to buy some random altcoin and in 5 years it'll be worth a lot more. You can see the data shows it all to you here. A lot of altcoins have underperformed to Bitcoin in the long run. There are some of them that, have outperformed it, and maybe you want to do more research to have a look at why these are outperforming Bitcoin and see what kind of analysis you can form and justification and how you want to expose yourself to that crypto. But you want to look at it outperforming Bitcoin or Ethereum as a baseline, or hopefully if you're good enough with your analysis, you can actually anticipate it outperforming Bitcoin or Ethereum in your selected time frame. Here's Haven Protocol against its Bitcoin value, and you can just see a catastrophe of a downtrend against its BTC value. Looks pretty close to its USD value, but you can just see really fell off a cliff in the first half of last year. Like I said, second half of last year, managed to do pretty well in the second half of last year, but wasn't able to get to the all-time high against its USD value, and in this case, its BTC value. Trend line right there, resistance at the trend again in the 30th of March when we had that mini altcoin season, and now we're getting to pretty much all-time lows on this exchange, going down against this BTC value, so not looking too good. But like I said, we actually have a bit of a trading zone here in that we did have the breakout against this BTC value, so there we have it. On the 3rd of June. Good strong volume, good strong close, and we're starting to make steady higher highs. The problem is, like I said, this move is so quick and you really got to be on top of it, because if you don't, your risk starts ballooning out of control, and your risk, if you catch it early, can only be as low as 10%, 15%. By crypto standards, that's not too bad. But when you start missing the move, your risk starts to become more larger. And in this case, if we start going from where it is currently to its low that it put in on the 2nd of June, which is this candle here, or the low of the breakout, that would basically take you to about, I think it was 45%. That would take you to about, anywhere between 40%. If you go to the wick of the candle, that'd take you to about 50% risk that you're risking for potentially not really a whole lot. Remember, it's a bear market territory here. It's not like this thing's going to shoot up and do crazy. I mean, anything's possible, but you really want to play on the conservative side during a bear market period. And in fact, the better thing to do would to be anticipating a very quick drop and maybe go short on this thing. But that's just my analysis anyway, against how I would approach it. So in summary, I think Haven Protocol is a good cryptocurrency. We've had the breakout. It's up to your risk analysis if you think it's good. Right now, it's looking good, but in terms of my own personal strategy, there's just a bit too much risk on the table for me to invest into this crypto. It's just pulled away a bit too much already. If this was about 24 to 48 hours previously, it might have looked a little bit better. Just before we had that, just after we had that breakout, and we saw that pullback on the trend. That would have been the perfect time to start stocking up on it and have stop losses in place should it break down after that. But didn't quite catch that. That's okay. See how it goes. Still very interesting to see how this chart will play out. So I'll definitely keep an eye on that. But I hope this helped. Sorry for the late crypto updates with the altcoins, guys. But I hope this video still is helpful to you guys. If you do, hit the subscribe button, give me a like, give me a comment down below of the cryptocurrency you want me to review. But until then, everyone, stay safe, and I will catch you on the next video.